Dzień dobry, assalamu alaikum, ciao, konnichiwa, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you today? This is Ken at 10. Welcome. Thanks for joining me once again. Here we are, 10 o'clock, every weekday morning as usual, talking about all things property here in Norbury, southwest London, which is sandwiched between Streatham to the north and Croydon to the south, if you don't know. Thanks for joining us. If you're here for the first time, welcome. And if you're coming back, well, thanks very much for coming back, joining us yet again. How are you? Hope you're having a good day. Here in Norbury, the weather is kind of overcast, and I'm a little bit frustrated because every time I look in the news, it seems that they're talking about this heat wave. It's not coming, is it? You know, and here we are, what's 26th of August? Really? Are we going to have, let's hope so. Let's hope we have an Indian summer and September comes on strong and we're all like, wow, basking in the sunshine. But it's too late then. We're all off holiday, aren't we? Anyway, let's hope for some better weather. A few things to tell you about today. I'm going to take you to Britain's remotest home. And that's quite an interesting one. And that's in the sun today. So I'll show you a picture of that in a little while. Getting through some property news headlines as well. The first one is from the Times, the Mail and the Telegraph. And this is about the number of properties for sale and the acute shortage of homes for sale right now. And this is an article which has data from Zoopla, the major portal. And it says the number of properties for sale dropped by 26.4% in June compared with the 2020 average. I think we have to temper that, don't we? With the fact that, well, of course, we had this front-loaded year where most people that were going to buy and sell this year have done so between January and June. And of course, that's going to lead to a fall off, and particularly a fall off in June, July, August. Why? Well, because June's the end of the stamp duty deadline, and July, August, because guess what? We go away on holiday, and families looking to buy or sell quite often hold off until what I call the mum's market. When they come back from holiday in September, mums tend to start hunting for property when the children are at school. They've got some quiet time. And I say mums specifically because my experience is they drive the hunt, certainly here in SW16, because they're the ones we tend to get the emails and the calls from while they look to expand their living environment. Quite often, you know, when it rains and the kids come in with their bikes, the bikes are bigger, the kids are bigger. It's like, can't have another year in this house. Let's get somewhere bigger. So it's a really important time for us, September. And this year, I'm really intrigued to see how it will pan out because it's been such a different year so far. Such a different couple of years, hasn't it? So be interesting to see what that happens. But it says that the supply shortages are expected to run until 2022. And house price growth is expected to remain strong. But of course, if you've got a housing shortage, then that will happen. The problems are most pronounced among family houses and prices up to 350,000. It says the headline rate of house price growth is running at 6% year on year, and this is expected to moderate to between 4 and 5% by the end of the year. Zoopla said in its monthly house price index, average growth for houses at 7.6%, compared with 1.2% for flats. That's interesting, isn't it? And we're finding the same, that the appetite for housing, very, very strong. Flats, not so much. Garden flats are strong too. Small houses strong, but particularly the median family house in our area seems to be where most of the activity is. And certainly one up from that as well, the people upscaling to something a little bit larger, a little bit more luxurious. There's a lot of demand at that level. And then we've got another article saying, this one's from the Express. Express and the Mail love a property scandal headline, don't they? But this is Churchill Retirement has revealed that many homeowners approaching retirement could make as much of £150,000 if they sold their properties and downsized. The survey showed 25% of over 60s say their houses are too big, but only 14% considered downsizing as an option. 1 in 10 said they thought they could raise between £250,000 and £500,000 by downsizing. But on average, people believe they can expect £150,000 windfall. I think the problem is that most people are kind of comfortable where they are and they need incentivizing. And if we want to free up those larger family houses, we need to give the oldies some sort of incentive to move, like no stamp duty on their ongoing purchase, something like that. I think that's what needs to happen in order to free up the family homes, because that's what's missing from the market. The large, chunky family homes, preferably the ones that need a little bit of modernization, they're the ones everybody's after right now. Survey shows uncertainty among landlords. This is one in the Mail, and this is a survey by the Mortgage Works. They're a major buy-to-let lender, if you're not aware. And they say a third of landlords do not believe they can meet the Energy Performance Certificate C targets set by the government. This is the new requirement that properties will need to hit that target by 2025, and be interesting to see what happens there. I believe that what will happen is that there'll be a cap on that number, and provided you have done what you can within reasonable limits, then the government will leave you alone, because the alternative will be a mass exodus from the rental sector of landlords in many cases, where meeting the C target would require solar panels and other forms of energy conservation and storage, which could result in 15, 20, 25,000 pound spends, which won't be viable for most small landlords, because most landlords are small. They own one other property. They often have come about that by being what I call an accidental landlord. They wanted to sell and they decided that it would be easy to refinance, keep that asset for their family, maybe looking for their children's education later on, or indeed for their own investment. And many of our current landlords, we have hundreds of landlords in that situation who have held on to their property and ended up becoming landlords with us for many, many years. And then they end up with another problem, but a nicer problem, and that's capital gains tax, where they've made such good headline gains. And then the question is, do they cash in or do they keep? And in many cases, they decide to keep the cash coming, keep the rental income coming, and then eventually cash in when they require that cash for perhaps school fees or perhaps retirement. Although the other thing that's happening is many retirees are using their lump sums to invest into property and use that as a stability weapon against inflation, because of course you're getting such low yields in the banks and building societies if you're looking for a return, and property provides a much bigger one, even ignoring capital growth. Even if you say, well, capital growth might not happen, well, that's true, but bearing in mind most people buy with a deposit and an interest only loan. That's a leveraged gain. So if property prices rise by 10%, then that's 10% leverage, not just your deposit that's gaining that money, but actually the whole of the property value, which is probably 75% more than your deposit. So it's times 4 effectively the gain. And on top of that, of course, rents tend to go with inflation or better. So you tend to find that you're protected against inflation with your rental income. And then you've got another little bonus as time goes on and property prices rise. And this is why rental is still so popular today. And by the way, yesterday we had an approach from one of our lovely developers, and he was showing us his new flats and saying, I'm only going to use James Alexander. And his daughter was there with him, and she said to him, why are you using James Alexander? And he said, because they always get the money. And she said, how do you know that? He said, because I'm often on the other end of the transaction trying to buy through them, and I can't buy through them because they're achieving really good prices. And that's why I want to sell through them. Thank you very much for that. You know who you are. And obviously that's what we're here to do, is fight for our vendors, get the most we possibly can for them on the one hand, but on the other hand, be real. I visited a property yesterday where literally you just know that they're going to go for a price which is unachievable in the current market, and they're just going to languish, and that's frustrating. But it's difficult to know who to trust in this market. We respect that. People have got to go with a gut feeling, go with the people they feel they can trust and get the most for them. Mortgages, more owners are opting for equity release. Growing numbers of older homeowners are taking advantage of equity release. This is not financial advice, by the way, but if you are an older person and you wish to release some equity from your home, you can do so via a loan that in some cases you don't even have to repay. It gets repaid when you pass, but of course this can seriously diminish the value of the asset for any family that you might want to pass your asset on to. But this is ideal where you're a person that doesn't have any people that you'd like to pass monies on to. It can really free up some cash for you. And we had one recently where a guy freed up substantial amounts of cash, really helped him enjoy his later years. And why not? Good luck to them. Apart from that, let's look at the most remote home in England, shall we? I'm ready for this. Let's find this picture for you. Where is it now? It's here somewhere. I've got it somewhere. Here we go. That's it. This is Skidore House or Skidore House. And if you want it, you're very welcome. It's on sale for £1.5 million. But if we look carefully, you have to either walk to it or drive more than 3 miles across country. Not only that, there's no power to it, of course, because it's in the middle of nowhere. And it's not exactly the most exceptional looking property, is it? It's got no power to it. It was originally built in 1829 as a gamekeeper's lodge, and it's been used as a shooting cabin and a hiker's refuge. I mean, I think we could also say shed almost, couldn't we? It's set in 3.5 acres, there's 6 bedrooms, 1,550 feet up a mountain, surrounded by other peaks. No other building in sight. This is a proper off-grid escape. Solar panels provide power, water comes from a spring, and it's heated by wood-burning stoves. It's a glorified shed, really, isn't it? Nonetheless, you can have it for 1.5 million. Seems quite a lot of money for a shed, doesn't it? There we are. You want the ultimate escape? That's it. Why have I got the beach behind me? You might be wondering. Well, everybody's on staycation now, aren't they? But I like the idea that you might be on holiday right now and perhaps enjoying a nice sunny beach somewhere. Good for you if you are. That's it for Ken at 10 today. We'll be back same time tomorrow with another edition. Until then, look after your family and friends. Stay safe and well. We'll see you then. Take care.